have died as a result of COVID-19. And as of today, 230 people in Houston have died as a result of COVID-19. We'll continue to keep you informed as these cases come in. The two newly reported deaths happen to be an Hispanic male in his 70s with underlying health conditions, and an Hispanic male also in his 70s, also with underlying health conditions. Of the 230 total deaths, 64 are associated with nursing homes and 3 with the Harris County Jail. The virus is prevalent in our community, and as we enter the 4th of July holiday weekend, it is imperative that everyone remember we are fighting for our community and the health and safety of our family and friends. And in some cases, we are also fighting for the lives of those who are gravely ill and hooked up to ventilators in our hospital. And as mayor, I cannot force you to change your behavior, but I am strongly encouraging you to take the virus very seriously and make some changes to your routine over the next several weeks. We are at a point in this pandemic that requires us to rally together as a community and take serious steps to flatten the curve and not overwhelm our healthcare delivery system. And as mayor, I am making the following recommendations. And we have consistently talked about wearing masks. I think it's going to require even more than that. So I think we're going to need to step back some in order to blunt the progression of this virus. And so I'm asking the voluntary compliance. I don't have the tools to enforce anything right now or to mandate. And so I'm asking for voluntary compliance over the next 3 weeks to blunt the progression of the virus. And one is to wear a mask, even if in the presence of others and outside of businesses. So right now you're required to wear a mask for employees and customers are required to wear them if you go to a business. I want to extend that and recommend that we go even beyond that. So if you're in the presence of someone else, out in the public or in the presence of others, whether you're in a business or not, I would ask, and this is a strong ask, that you wear a mask until such time as a mask order, which I hope will be mandated across the state. Secondly, to ensure social distancing in the workplace. That's important. Regardless of where you work, we need to ensure social distancing. And if that's not possible, work remotely from home where possible. So social distance in the workplace, and if you can't do it, work remotely from home. Then I'm going to ask, and this is through voluntary compliance, that businesses reduce their occupancy from 50% to 25%. I think we need to back up. And again, this is an ask in order to blunt the progression. I'm asking people to do this over the next 3 weeks. I'm asking faith-based groups, communities, to resume virtual worship. I think it's critically important that we defuel this virus, and that is that we not come together in close proximity, which provides energy and fuel to this virus. So I'm asking the faith-based groups in our community, in our cities, to resume virtual worship over the next 3 weeks. And then reduce social gatherings to no more than 10 people. And this is especially true as we approach the 4th of July extended weekend starting tomorrow. I'm asking people to reduce their social gatherings to no more than 10 people. What we know is in the last month or so, this virus has really taken off, and the numbers are continuing to grow each and every day. In order to blunt the progression of this virus, it's going to be critically important that we wear our masks, engage in social distancing, use proper hygiene, and we disengage in order to come together in combating and defeating this virus. And it's very critical that we do it, and we start doing it yesterday. So that's the ask. Wear your mask even if in the presence of others. Ensure social distancing in the workplace or work remotely. Businesses reduce the occupancy from 50 to 25%. Faith-based groups resume virtual worship, and social gatherings of no more than 10 people. I believe if we do these things together, collectively and in concert, then I believe that we can blunt the progression over the next 3 weeks and get us back on some sort of a course where we can be placed in a better position to manage this virus. Those are my strong recommendations, and I'm asking the people in the city of Houston to join me in achieving the objective. At this point in time, let me yield and bring up Dr. Peirce.
Thank you, Mayor. In the Mayor's comments, he started off by saying how the virus is in our community. And so if we can bring up the graph and show that when we look at the positive, the test results that come back, and we've talked about this before, as the test results come back from the labs, in the beginning they were only giving us the positive. So now we're getting more a report of all the tests they do and what percent of those are positive. And what we're seeing is that the percentage is continuing to increase, and it's getting higher and higher. And so as we have been talking about all of these things to blunt the progression of the virus throughout the community, yet the number keeps coming up. And one of the things when I met with Dr. Birx in Dallas on Sunday, one of her concerns was that with the testing sites, the stadium was that there was a notion that those were testing the worried well, and that that wasn't really the target population. She wanted us to get more towards the young folks and see what was going on to test that group. Well, if we can, I think we're having a little bit of trouble getting the slide to come up, but what the slide shows is that even in the concept of Dr. Birx's concern that it's testing the worried well, the percent of positives is growing, and has been growing at a steady rate, so that now it's at it's over 20%. It's over 20%. So of the folks who are getting tested, 1 in 5 are coming back positive. And we've talked earlier about how it's it appears in the hospitals that there's the average age as folks are coming. Here's the slide. So you can see that over the last several weeks, actually, the percent positive has gone from about 15% to 24, almost 25%. So 25%, it's actually 1 in 4 people are testing positive. They're going to the testing sites. 1 in 4 are positive. So the virus is very prevalent in the community. So this weekend, as folks gather, you need to consider how big of a crowd you want to be around. If in fact, and even if these numbers, let's just say these numbers, that there is a bias, and let's say those numbers represent doubling the percentage. I mean, you get argument somehow that was double the percent. Well, it's still 1 in 8 are positive. So if you're in a group, the mayor recommended no more than groups of 10. So even at 8, you run the risk that there may be somebody in your group. And remember, these are people who are not going to be having symptoms, right? But yet they're spreading the virus. And the notion that young folks get sick and they get over it in our local hospitals, 15% of the folks who are admitted to the hospital, 15% are under the age of 50. And if you go from 50 to 60, that's an additional 15%. So 30% of the people admitted to local hospitals are under the age of 60. When we're talking about admitted to the hospital, today in Harris County hospitals, there are over 500 people admitted to the intensive care unit. And there are over 1,200 people admitted to the hospital. So the virus is very much out there. For those who think that it's not, I'm sorry, but the data is just very clear that it's very much active and spreading. And we control our destiny. The mayor has given some great recommendations. They're based in common sense. They're very easily achievable. And these are the things that actually make a difference. And you are in control of protecting yourself, protecting your family. Remember, the number 1 person you're most likely to infect is a family member. The number 2 person you're most likely to infect is a coworker, followed by friends and neighbors. So protect your families, protect your coworkers. Wear a mask, stay in small groups, remain physically distant.
Thank you, Dr. Peirce. So you can see we have a limited window to kind of regain control, with the positivity rate increasing in June from that 15% to nearly 25%. You understand the recommendations, one of the recommendations that we are making. So we're at a point in time where we are needing to step back in order to work to regain control over this virus. So please bear that in mind. No better time to start than this weekend. And so to the extent, we're asking people to stay home as much as possible, but to be cognizant of your surroundings, even in our parks, for example. The parks will be open to walking, jogging, bicycling, As long as you're moving, not a problem. But the parks will not be open to social gatherings and picnicking, none of that. And we have a 4th of July Independence celebration this weekend. It will be a virtual celebration. And so for that, let me call up Susan Christian, who will talk more about the virtual 4th of July Shell Independence celebration.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, we're so excited. In fact, I just left a rehearsal with the Houston Symphony and Bun B and Trey, and it is out of sight. We're so proud that with Shell Freedom Over Texas, we're bringing multiple disciplines. First, live entertainment featuring the Houston Symphony. Pat Green is our featured artist, as well as Trey the Truth, Bun B, Mariachi International, and also a famous kids group coming from Houston, which is Los Placeros. All of those performing live with Houston Symphony backing them up. Just a remarkable lineup there. We also have virtually, with the Houston Symphony backing him up, is Lyle Lovett, and also Houston's own La Mafia. So the interesting part I want to say about these entertainers is all of them are from Houston or from Texas. Now, isn't that a great stand-up for this event, a great lineup? I'm really excited about it, Mayor. And then we have other artists from outside of Texas who will be sending in prepackaged songs. Many of them have performed on our stage in the past, Mayor. So I think we have a very unique show that we're presenting. All of this will be performed live, of course, on July 4th, but we will not have an audience in front of our entertainers. And so, as the mayor said, it's a virtual show. That will take place between 6:30, coverage at 6:30, and then the majority of that entertainment from 7 to 10, and you can catch that on television. Of course, no July 4th show is complete unless we have an amazing fireworks show. It's tradition for Americans. It's how we celebrate our patriotic roots. It's how we celebrate our freedom. It is one of the things that unites us as Americans. And I think it's so amazing, Mayor, that we are still able, with your support and with the support of our sponsors, Shell, Reliant, Dr. Pepper, Walmart, and Bud Light, Silver Eagle, with the help of them supporting us and your support and at your direction, we have a 15-minute live fireworks show which will take place out at Eleanor Tinsley Park. And we've repositioned the show. We're going to shoot off of trailers and reposition that show so that we can have a much higher latitude and a lift, if you will, for the fireworks show. Normally, we rest at about 450 feet. We're at 800 feet, Mayor, and so that Houstonians can see a much bigger show at a much further distance. And that's important because while the mayor mentioned that parks are open, there is one place where they are closed, and that's that since we're having this huge show, we also have a much larger fallout zone, Mayor. We've been working with the fire department, love working with those guys and women, and so we want a very safe fireworks show. That will take place at 9:35, but we also, in preparation of that, of course, we have some street closures the way we do every year. 45 North and South and the exits to Allen Parkway will all be closed, as well as Memorial Drive and Allen Parkway from Bagby to Montrose on Allen Parkway, and on Memorial Drive from Bagby to Shepherd. So we have a lockdown of that area, partially because of fallout zone and then partially because of social distancing. So what we ask people to do is help us. Stay safe, stay home, and let us do your fireworks show for you. I think Chief Pena earlier today had a lot of a press conference warning about the dangers of fireworks. So let the professionals do your fireworks for you, and y'all stay home and watch, or watch from your backyards, watch from your apartments. If you get in your car, go to a place that you can properly socially distance, stay in your car, maybe sit on the hood, enjoy a great show, and really help us keep the area where we're launching those fireworks safe. Again, it's a 15-minute show. Everything's over at 10 o'clock. But we have a great show. I'm so proud of so many of our partners. Certainly our sponsors are mentioned, Mayor, but also our partners who have stood up, helped us to produce a show that is unique, that is uniquely Houston, that is uniquely Texas, and it's nice to have live music back in our lives. Thank you, Mayor.
Chief Pena.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Susan. I just wanted to reiterate and drive home the point of what Susan was saying here. Enjoy the show, the Freedom Over Texas show, instead of going out and setting off fireworks. I want to remind our community that setting off fireworks within the city of Houston is illegal. Not only is it illegal, but every year we have a number of injuries and house fires that result as a result of these fireworks. And look, our first responders are busy enough. We have plenty of things that we are responding to, plenty of things that we have to take care of without adding additional burdens and without exposing your families to additional dangers. The show they spent a lot of time and money, and through the leadership of Mayor Turner, it's going to be a spectacular show. Again, we want to stress the fact that there is an opportunity. Go and attend or view the professional shows, and don't go out and get yourselves hurt or cause some damage to yourselves or your house as a result of improper use of fireworks. Adopt a policy of prevention, not only with the fireworks, but again, as the mayor stated earlier, with our social and physical distancing, okay? Wearing masks, physical distancing, and proper hygiene. That's going to help us get through and tamp down the progression of this virus as well. Thank you.
Good. So bear in mind, it's a virtual celebration, independent celebration, and you can catch it on TV. You can catch it online, okay? You can catch it on TV. You can catch it online. View it at a distance because Eleanor Tinsley Park and Sam Houston Park are both closed. Those parks are closed, so you're going to have to watch those fireworks at a distance, okay? And then bear in mind, fireworks inside the city of Houston. That's illegal, okay? So fireworks inside the city of Houston is illegal. Please bear that in mind. You don't want to get a ticket this year. Now, having said that, are there any questions to any of us?
Number of questions I'm bringing to you from the various media. If we could start talking about the audit of the HPD Narcotics Division. If you have a reaction to the information that's coming out about that, how familiar are you with the report?
I've read the report, and I appreciate the changes that HPD, Chief Acevedo and HPD have already made based on that audit. It's always good to know where the deficiencies are. There were a lot of administrative errors, failing to report things on timely, a lot of sloppiness in that report. I read it and agreed that it should, once it was properly redacted, released. But the good news is that HPD has stepped up and already made a number of revisions.
There's some critics, including State Representative Jean Wu, who says that the report fails to address systemic problems within the Narcotics Division, doesn't establish how the problems were able to arise in the first place. Have you considered the scope of investigations by HPD of itself? That is there something maybe like an outside?
Well, bear in mind, it is an audit. Okay, that's what it is. An audit kind of looks at the overall program of the department, and it acknowledges or look for the deficiencies or places where those corrections need to take place. It did do that. It took a very critical eye. I'm glad that they did. And it was an audit that HPD itself did. They didn't wait for somebody to say, do it. They did it. So let's acknowledge that. Number two, they've already made changes. And number three, you're always looking through your system to see what additional changes need to take place. So it's never one and done. It's a constant review, and you constantly change or make the modifications or adjustments where needed.
Now, in the past, obviously, there was a pretty significant outside review of the HPD crime lab, when there is a crisis there. Is this something, there are probably going to be some calls for an outside independent third-party type of review of the Narcotics Division beyond the HPD review?
Well, with respect to the crime lab was in a bad situation at one point in time, and now it is viewed very positively nationally. So it's gotten a great deal of national recognition for the changes that have been made. I think within the department, you look to see how you can, what steps, what modifications, what adjustments you can make to make it better. Just like, for example, and I think the state representative and the other state representatives would agree, that there are a number of things that need to take place at the state of Texas, okay, just like on the coronavirus, where people are being infected and people are dying. So I would like to think that, many of our legislators will be addressing those situations at the state level.
Okay, question from Fox 26 for Chief Pena, please.
Sure.
What are the current numbers of first responders that are quarantined due to COVID? How might this affect the response times during the July 4th weekend? And a second question is the buying of fireworks by individuals. Are you anticipating that there could be a surge beyond what is normal because of so many cancellations of regional fireworks events?
Well, let me answer that one first. Again, the purchase of fireworks and transporting them right now is allowed under state law. What is not allowed and what is illegal is to set off those fireworks within the city of Houston. As far as the anticipation, again, there's going to be plenty of professional scheduled shows that people can attend or view, and we recommend that they do that instead of risking injury or, at minimum, a fine for setting off fireworks within the city of Houston. In regards to the number of personnel in quarantine, from yesterday, we've gone up about close to 10% in the number of firefighters in quarantine. At this point, we have about 180 or 280 firefighters that are in quarantine. That is putting a tremendous stress in our staffing abilities. The majority of those instances of those exposures have resulted from external exposures outside of the job. So again, we've been hammering at this for now going on over 4 months as far as the policy of prevention that we keep talking about in social distancing, wearing of your masks, proper hygiene, because as the virus is more prevalent in our community, our firefighters, our first responders, police, firefighters, paramedics are going to be more apt to be exposed, and that is going to have an impact on both departments' ability to have enough personnel to staff our units.
While you're up there, the fire department, are they going to be trying to disperse crowds at all, or is that going to, who would, if there is a crowds gathering, does that fall upon the fire department, or would that be law enforcement?
It's a combined effort. Certainly we respond based on complaints, but police department is out there. We work in collaboration with them. We're working in collaboration with the TABC. But in regards to... Okay. Well, you want to speak to that? So the word is that they fenced out the fallout zone for the areas where they're going to conduct these fireworks displays.
But, I mean, for example, if, let's say, you have a large gathering in the Studi Park area,
Right.
Along the bayou, White Oak Bayou,
Right.
where you have concentrations of people that would probably be considered unsafe, even maybe if many of them are masking, is that something that you're probably going to be trying to respond to?
So look, we'll respond to any complaint that we receive, okay? Our efforts and our focus has been education and voluntary compliance. Again, we want to drive home the point that we are in control in how quickly this thing spreads. And there are things that we can do. If we adopt a policy of prevention and take into consideration that we are in control of some of the things that can tamp down the spread of this virus. And again, masks, hygiene, and physical distancing. Everybody can do their part. Now, to answer your question, we have ourselves, police department, TABC, and other partners that we're out there trying to enforce the intent of the governor's order. Our focus is going to be on education and voluntary compliance.
So, Mayor, back to you. I don't believe we would address the executive order that the governor issued today, requiring all Texans to wear face coverings over the nose and mouth in public spaces in counties with 20 or more positive COVID cases. The governor also issued a proclamation giving mayors and county judges the ability to impose restrictions on some outdoor gatherings over 10 people, making it mandatory with some exceptions. People cannot be in groups larger than 10 and must maintain 6 feet of social distancing from others.
Well, I think if you put back the recommendations that I'm making, number one, in putting in a mandate for people to wear masks, whether they're in a business or not, especially if they're in the presence of someone else, I think that is a very positive. That's a positive step in the right direction, and that is consistent with the first thing recommendation that I'm making. Wear a mask if in the presence of others, and now if the governor is making that a statewide mandate for populations or where there are more than 20 cases, for example, across the state, I think that is a positive step. So I fully support that. We are already in the city of Houston, for example, we've already suspended any outdoor activities that are permitted, sponsored, produced, for example, by the city for the rest of July and probably into August. So those things we are already doing. I still think that we need to look at, and we're asking for voluntary compliance on reducing the occupancy from 50% down to 25%. We still, I think, need to do that. Encouraging faith-based communities, worship services to resume being virtual. I think that's important. And then, of course, the last statement was social gatherings of no more than 10. I think that's a step in the right direction. So I agree with those steps, but I think we need to do much more in order to blunt the progression of this virus.
Do you anticipate, with what it seems to be giving authority back to the mayors and county judges, to do more actual imposition of restrictions as opposed to requests and asking?
I think that ought to only refer to like outdoor activities.
But how much of that is already been mandated by you other than the...
Yeah, with respect to outdoors activities, that doesn't cover very much on the outdoor activities. We had already had the authority to place limitations on any outdoor activities, whether the number was greater than 100. I think that allows us to cover things that may be 10 people or more. But we already had the authority on any group that was more than 100.
So for the public out there, the city is...
We're already doing that.
Is going to respond to complaints of gatherings of more than 10 people outdoors in a concentrated way?
I don't know what that means.
Well, I'm saying during the July 4th weekend, if you have a couple thousand people, it's all in one concentrated area.
Well, I think a lot of this, number one, we're not going to have the police officers and firefighters, being able to go all around the city looking for those type of activities. That's why you asked. It is important for people to recognize the severity of the situation and recognize that this virus is propelled by being in close proximity to one another. So we are certainly saying to individuals that they should reduce their social gatherings of more than 10 people or more. Quite frankly, as Dr. Peirce said, even less than that. It's always important to know, who's in your home and where people have been, especially when they're coming back to your home. And then I would certainly encourage people to minimize their participation in gatherings or parties or events, or for example, over the extended weekend holidays. You just need to know, you may have known where you have been, but you know where you have been, but you don't know where other people have been. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make. So people need to exercise a great deal of personal responsibility and recognize that this virus is very prevalent within our community.
Tangentially about your communication with Governor Abbott, there's a letter that you reference 1,500 hospital beds that could be exhausted by mid-July, which I understand is from the UT School of Public Health. One of our reporters was asking if why are these your figures instead of what apparently the Texas Medical Center is using as a capacity more like 2,200 or more for surge capacity of hospitalizations?
Well, I think we're all trying to get our arms around what the actual bed capacity is. I think what we're all agreeing is that if we stay on the current course, the trajectory, that in 2 to 3 weeks we could certainly be facing a serious situation with the lack of bed capacity. Whatever the number may be today, we are on an unsustainable course, and we need to take actions, take steps right now, definitive steps, to blunt the progression of this virus and turn that trajectory around. Dr. Percy, you want to elaborate on that as well?
Yeah, the mayor's exactly right. We need to not get caught up in the exact numbers. It's the concept. So hospitals have an ability to convert regular ward beds into ICU beds. They have the ability to take clinics and make them into hospital rooms. So that's where you're going to get into a lot of confusion if we keep trying to chase down any one particular number. But the point is that the number of patients who are being admitted to hospitals who are diagnosed with COVID disease continues to rise. And what people often forget when we talk about that is the number of pregnant women having babies, the number of heart attacks, the number of strokes, the number of people who need to have a tumor removed. All of those other things which routinely keep hospitals full pretty much year-round are continuing to occur. So the burden, if you will, of the additional COVID patients is an additional burden causing hospitals to have to become creative with bed capacity and which type of bed. And so I would strongly recommend to not focus too much on the numbers, but look at the trends.
Okay, Mayor, I believe this may be the final question. It comes from Frank Billingsley of KPRC.
Oh, tell Frank I said hello.
He's saying salons and gyms have taken out loan to grant PPPs with the requirement being to pay the employees in full, or the loan will not become a grant. If you close these businesses, if you close again and the businesses fail completely, who will pay back those loans?
Well,
they won't be forgiven based on the criteria, and there will be no business left. So your proposal not only shuts down businesses again, but creates inability to pay back the federal loans.
I don't know if I'm quite understanding that because I'm not advocating that they close. What I am saying is that we need to reduce our occupancy. So no one is advocating that they close. The reality is that if we stay on this very dangerous trajectory, all of us will lose. Okay, all of us will lose. The number of cases are increasing. The positivity rate, those testing positive, that's increasing. The number of people being admitted to our hospitals, that's increasing. The number of people utilizing ICU beds, that number is increasing. What we are now trying to do is to blunt the progression so that our economy can remain open, and it's a sustainable open. That's what's important. So no one is saying close businesses down, other than the bars and the clubs, okay? The governor's already mandated that. But so I'm not saying close them down. I'm simply saying that we need to step back over the next 3 weeks, voluntary compliance. But even with that, there's nothing in my recommendations that says close completely down. It's saying back up, lower your occupancy over the next 3 weeks, and let's blunt the progression such that we can manage this virus. Because wearing masks, that in of itself, even with the state mandate now, wearing masks in and of itself may not be sufficient in order to blunt the progression. Even Dr. Peter Herseth has said that. But there's nothing in my recommendations that say completely close down. Okay?
I have a question. First of all, I want to congratulate you for the fight. I think that your letters and all this advocacy you've been doing has actually helped in pushing the governor to see sense for us to do what we are doing, or he has asked to be done, for which you should be congratulated among the other mayors and county leaders. It's a very simple question. The governor has thrown a very simple trap into it with certain exceptions. Those exceptions, like the big Texas convention or political convention in the convention center. Thank you.
Okay. Ask me that question one more time, because I think
I said that I started by saying congratulations for the work.
I got that part.
Okay, you got that one. So then I went on to say that, but the governor isn't a fool. So he's also thrown in a little trap by saying that your discretion also has the window of exception. And I'm saying that to you, the exceptions would be like
Okay.
the Texas Convention
Yes.
or political convention that is
gotcha.
coming. Is
I
that
gotcha.
one of the exceptions?
I got you. Let me just say, my number one concern, my number one priority is the health and safety of people, in this case, with me being mayor, of the people in this city. That's my number one concern. I am keenly concerned about the employees, the staff, those people who will be visiting the George R. Brown Convention Center if the convention goes forward. That's my concern, that we can't say, for example, that the numbers of people being hospitalized, testing positive, all of those numbers are going up, and act as if that will not take place if people come together in a conference or a convention. So I am keenly concerned about the employees and the staff that will have to service people who come to our hotels or come to the George R. Brown Convention Center. And I am hopeful that people will factor those employees and their health and safety, as well as the health and safety of those who attend, and the health and safety of those people who, when they go back to their respective cities, that will be at risk. And I am confident that people will take all of those considerations in mind. I will constantly take those considerations in mind myself, and then we'll make decisions as we proceed. But that is what keeps me up at night. Who are on the front line, whether they be firefighters, police officers, waiters, people who are changing in the hotel rooms, cleaning the rooms. These are individuals who are on the front line. And I think we all have to make sure that we do everything that we can to make sure that we protect them. So that's where we are. I don't want to put anybody out of work. I don't want to see any businesses closed. But I do recognize that if we do not blunt the progression of this virus and do it quickly in the city of Houston, businesses are going to be at risk, more people are going to lose their lives, and the situation is not going to be in anyone's best interest.
Mayor, to that end, the governor just issued an executive order not too long ago requiring that all Texans wear face masks or face coverings in public. This is for counties reporting 20 or more coronavirus cases. Reaction to something like that? This is statewide.
Well, that is what we have been asking for, mayors and county judges across the state. I think it is a step in the right direction. I agree with that step, and I certainly applaud him for taking that step.
Follow up to that, it says the governor also issuing the proclamation giving mayors and county judges the ability to impose restrictions on some outdoor gatherings of over 10 people and making it mandatory with certain exceptions. People cannot be in groups larger than 10 and must maintain that 6 feet of social distancing from others. Thoughts about that?
And I agree with that step. We already had the authority to impose restrictions on any group more than 100 on outside activities, and we've already taken steps to do that. A part of the recommendations that I made was people restricting their activities of a social gathering greater than 10. So it is quite consistent with that. I agree with that. Those two steps are needed. The only issue remaining are the additional steps that will be needed to blunt the progression. Bear in mind, this is a forest fire, and we're going to need all of our tools at our disposal to put the fire out. We have a limited window in which to do that before our health care system becomes overwhelmed. Regardless of the number of beds that exist today, if we stay on the current trajectory, our health care system will be overrun. I would ask everyone to take a look at the recommendations that we are making, and I would ask people, even from a voluntary basis, to work together, take those things that the governor has put forth, add those with the other recommendations, and if we work collectively, then I think we have a good shot at blunting the progression of this virus. I see you're back again.
Our Spanish language colleagues have asked if maybe Chief Pena can give a team response about the governor's order in Spanish.
Para no me, but
in Spanish.
You know, I'm going to get really upset if y'all don't ask me one of these times to translate. You know, hablo español, no solamente inglés, you know. So, but, para chipeña.
Okay.
Bueno, para la comunidad habla hispana, lo que queremos decir y lo que dice el alcalde de Turner es que la orden ejecutiva que ha implementado el gobernador recientemente, él está de acuerdo en las reglas que ha puesto el gobernador acerca del número de personas que pueden estar juntas en un momento. Y lo que el alcalde quiere decir es, él puso unas reglas aquí, unas recomendaciones que él implora a la comunidad que voluntariamente puedan hacer estas cosas para poder bajar el número de infección del coronavirus en esta comunidad. Porque si seguimos a este paso, el número de camas en los hospitales no va a ser bastante para poder tratar a los más graves en nuestra comunidad. Así es que lo que el alcalde está pidiendo es que si voluntariamente las personas y los negocios en esta comunidad hacen las cosas que él ha recomendado, nos va a ayudar para poder bajar el número de infecciones y crear una capacidad en los hospitales para poder atender a los más graves en nuestra comunidad. Él está de acuerdo en las reglas que ha puesto en la orden ejecutiva del gobernador. Él está de acuerdo en esas reglas y muchas de esas reglas el alcalde Turner fue uno que hizo esas recomendaciones al gobernador y está agradecido de que el gobernador haya impuesto una de estas reglas que ahora están en pie.
Thank you so very much, and please take a look at, I think that picture demonstrates the social distancing, and that's the picture of the cow right here. Oh, that's not a, oh, is that what it is? Oh, it's not a cow, it's the, I'm a cougar, look, I don't know. They say that's a longhorn, you know, but cougars say it's a cow, you know, but. Meow. I mean, moo. I'm sorry. No, but that's coming from a cougar. So, yeah, that's a longhorn. Okay, social distance. All right.
All right, on the day that Mayor Turner here announces 763 new positive COVID tests in the city of Houston and begins asking for Houstonians to help out, one of the things he wanted was all of us to wear a mask around others. While he was announcing that, Governor Abbott was mandating it across the state of Texas. The governor issuing that order during this press conference. It will apply to any county where there are more than 20 positive COVID cases. And a quick check around the Houston area, I believe that all of the counties here in the Houston area will easily be covered by that mandate. So we're talking about a mask when you're around others. You see the mayor's other recommendations. Again, he's not enforcing these, he can't, but he's asking for social distance at work, to work from home if you can. He's asking businesses to reduce to 25% occupancy, down from 50%. He's asking all local churches to go back to virtual worship, online worship, not putting a bunch of people in a sanctuary on a Sunday, and he wants to reduce social gatherings to 10 people or fewer, and the governor is talking about that as well. I'm going to read you just a little bit here what the governor put out in a press release. Again, during this press conference you just watched, Governor Abbott saying today, we have the ability to keep businesses open and move our economy forward so that Texans can continue to earn a paycheck. But it requires each of us to do our part to protect one another, and that means wearing a face covering in public spaces. As Texas has set record after record after record statewide this week for new positive COVID cases, the governor now taking action and requiring face coverings in public places until further notice by executive order this afternoon. We'll have continuing coverage coming up for you here in 15 minutes on the 411. Hope you'll stay tuned for that. As always, you can get information anytime on our website, khou.com, and the KHOU mobile app. We'll see you here in 15 minutes.
9. Pick up in the drive-thru or get free delivery.
America's two top hotels, Bellagio and Biltmore. Their $3,000 custom-made mattresses, $495. Your choice in any size, $495 at the dump. Serta's Perfect Sleeper with premium power adjustables, $995.